There we go. All right. All right. Welcome, everybody, to Crossing the Streams, where we answer the universal question, what should I binge watch next? I just watched something. And now I got to watch something else. We have pulled together renowned experts from across the globe to give you excellent binge watching suggestions. We have returning guests. I think it's your third time. Sue Kolinsky, the famous Sue Kolinsky. We got Zack Wiseman returning once again. Of course, Marcy and I holding down the fort. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Sue, remind everyone of your great podcast and all that kind of good stuff. Here's your plug. You got your quick plug.
Is this like a pitch clock? I only have a certain amount of time.
You got 60 seconds and you already used 15 seconds. I'm kidding.
So I do a pop podcast called the Culture Pop Podcast with a partner, Steve Mason, and we talk about we talk about furniture. No, we talk about everything that has to do with pop culture. It's an interview show, and I guess the last month or so, we started doing something similar to this. We were doing watch-alongs with a particular episode. So that's something that I want to talk about.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so that's been very, very cool. Yeah, so that's how I've been keeping busy.
Awesome. Zack is back. He fixed his microphone and he's doing his shows again. He's got 12 shows he does.
Doing so many shows. No, we wanted to focus a little more this time and really hone in our talents. So we're working on a bunch of things behind the scenes, but Dylan, my writing partner, he wanted to start doing a more live thing again and working on content, creating more stuff and showing people how we create stuff that we make. So yeah, so Some Nobodies is back, and we're making more and more and more content to be consumed by people. So
because the world has not enough content.
There's just not enough. Yeah. There's not enough.
We can always use more. So couple of things. One, I just celebrated my Classic Conversations, also pop culture podcast, where I interview famous people, of which one was Sue Kolinsky. That's a good episode, actually. So check that out. And then, but I just celebrated 4 years. We just hit this past, I think the 20 something or other was 4 years, which it's crazy when you think about it. Because it's like, I don't know how you, like Zack or Sue, how you feel like, where in your head, these things always just happened. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And like, I'm sure Sue, like your interview, I feel like it wasn't that long ago, but I'm sure it was at least a year ago, right? I mean,
at least maybe even longer.
Yeah. And so it's like, it's weird when like things come up and it was like 3 years ago, the promos that I put up. And it's like, I can't believe that was 3 years ago or 4 years ago. I mean, it's just like, time is weird. I mean, the pandemic had something to do with that too, but so I finally also a couple weeks ago got to do the Comic-Con at Motor City Comic-Con, which I go to all the time, which is what my wall's full of signed 8x10s, but I got to run a few panels. I got to run Ephraim Ramirez, who was Pedro from Napoleon Dynamite. So I got to hang with him and run his panel, which was pretty cool. And then do you guys know Felicia Day? I ran her panel as well. That panel, I got it more say ran itself. I asked a couple questions. Most of the ones that I was in was in like this 400 person room. And, it always depended on what time, and they had different things going on. Ephraim had about 50. Christian Keys, who was, he was another one that I ran, and he had about 50 people there. Felicia Day had 400. I mean, it was standing room only for Felicia Day. So about 10 minutes in, I'm like, who has questions? They lined up, and that was pretty much the next. The only thing I did was slip her a piece of paper. It said, there's 10 minutes left.
Oh, nice.
So she knew to end. Because, I mean, it could have gone another forever. I mean, it was so crazy.
Because she has like 2 different huge fan bases, right?
It was like Supernatural. She's got the whole
the Mystery Science Theater thing.
Science Theater, the whole Geek Girls, all that kind of stuff. but it was crazy. I mean, more people asked her questions than I just went to the William Shatner panel, and like he rambled for like 20 minutes about I don't even know what. And then oddly, no one really asked him any Star Trek questions. But I mean, Felicia Day, it was rabid fan base. It was intimidating because I didn't know really who she was because I didn't watch that era of Mystery Science Theater and I didn't watch Supernatural. And so it was intimidating because I'm in front of 400 people who know her so much better than I do.
So enlighten me. How did you get to host these panels?
I stalked the Comic-Con probably for years. I had an in years ago and I got to know the executive director, and then she left. And then so it took me a few years to get back into the mix. And so finally I got back into the mix, and I was kind of on the lower end of the totem pole, I'd say, in terms of, picking, but I think I got some good ones, but like I didn't get like, the Helen Hunt or, that kind of stuff. But like that was it. I mean, if there's a Comic-Con in your area, you can apply for a free pass. Usually there's a press pass that you can get. And then you just reach out to them and say, hey, I'd love to, because I mean, that's what we do anyway, right? I did find that it's a little different because they have to, they talk different. People will answer questions differently if there's 50 or 100 or 400 people sitting in the same room, usually. So it depends where they are in their career. But like, it was a different thing, you know what I mean? So it was like, and also incorporating the audience and all that. But I went to because my friend ran the Tom Wilson one. He's Biff from Back to the Future. And wow, I wish someone was a master class on how to be a celebrity and do a panel. It was like witnessing a show in itself. He was so energetic and engaging with the audience. It was so cool. And then Sue, you know this too, because a friend of mine, I won't say who it was because she was an awesome actress, but it was like some people don't answer questions.
Right.
What I mean?
Right. Yeah.
Like,
is it like yes, no kind of stuff?
Yeah. Like, how was it? Oh my God. It was so amazing working on that film. You know what I mean? Like that's not an answer.
Yeah. It's it's like bad improv,
Yeah. It's like, so it was like, I was like, you really worked for that one, It's like, but then Christian Keys, he plays A-Train's brother on The Boys, and he's also in Supernatural, and he's done a bunch of other stuff as well. And then I ran some comic book. You had to kind of mix it up, so, do some of the huge comic book artists. Zach, you might have been into this. I was like, I didn't really know who these people were, but as I'm sitting there, I'm realizing, oh, this guy drew all the scenes in the original comic for Endgame, that became Endgame.
Oh, cool.
You know what I mean? It's like the one guy, right, was one of the artists for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And there was a broken pencil lead about that big sitting on the table. And he took it, and during the conversation, sketched a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle on the tablecloth for the table. It was like unbelievable. Everyone's like, why didn't you take it? I'm like, because I wanted you to ask me back. I'm not walking away with an entire tablecloth. It wasn't like a paper thing you could rip off. I would have had to literally steal the entire tablecloth. And they're like, oh, you should have. I'm like, you say that hypothetically. Now, if I walked in here with a tablecloth, I think the conversation would have been different.
Yeah. Well, especially if there were things on it, it would have been a magician move, huh?
Yeah. But it was cool though. But I will say the power of ChatGPT. They must have switched, or I didn't miss it. They switched my comic panel. So I'm literally walking out the door with 10 minutes to go, and I had to leave because if you don't get there, you can't park. You know what I mean? And like, because it's crazy. And so I get there half hour early. So if I'm late, I had to park a mile away, right? And so I'm like, oh my God, there's 3 people. I have no idea who these people are. I just went to ChatGPT. It'd be like if it was the 3 of us. I'd be like, do you know who Marcy Cozen is? Yeah, Marcy Cozen did this. Tell me give me a summary of her. They would give me a summary. Give me 20 questions to ask. And they would give me 20 questions. And I just did that in 6 minutes. ChatGPT prepped me for these 3 people. I mean, I didn't use those questions, but you know what I mean? It's
You
like,
didn't ask him about me?
yeah, no, but but it prepped me enough. Let's say it was
That's
three people
crazy.
on the panel, so it was like, you ask one question, even if each one only answers for 2 minutes, it goes pretty quick because they.
Yeah.
But it was like, but it was pretty cool. It was like you realize like, oh wow, these guys are a pretty big deal.
Yeah, but did you know that Tom Wilson was a stand-up comedian?
I opened for him, so that was a really cool
Oh,
thing.
really? Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So I went up to him after, and I'm like, I know you don't remember me, but I was your MC when you were at Mark Ridley's Comedy Castle, and you couldn't have been cooler. He goes, "Oh my God, thank you for coming up to me," and so that was one of the things. That's why I loved. I already have an 8x10 of him signed and a photo with him, so I didn't have to pay for that.
Oh,
And so yeah, he was such a nice guy, such a nice guy. And he has this song, like this questions song that he sings, which are all the questions. Michael J. Fox, yeah, he's nice. What's Kristen Glover like? Kind of weird. Like he has this whole thing where he sings this song. And I remember my friend Dan Lippett had always, he had photographed, he was a photographer, and he would always take pictures of famous people. And some of the advice he had given me was, when you talk to a famous person, don't ask them the obvious thing, which later became very helpful in interviewing people. Don't ask them the obvious thing, because they get asked that all the time and they'll immediately get turned off.
yeah.
So I remember sitting there with Tom Wilson in the green room of Mark Ridley's, and I'm just dying to ask him some questions. It's like the first night, it's Thursday before the first show. And I'm like, all right, I'm just going to wait. I'm going to wait. And then he goes out there and he sings this question song. And I'm like, thank fucking God I didn't ask him any of those questions. Oh my God. That would have been so embarrassing. And then like on Saturday, we're talking about filming Back to the Future back to back. I'm asking him questions about that. And at one point he gives me a look, and I'm like, what? It's not in your song. Like must be fair game. It's not in your song. I didn't make the song, so I think I'm in okay territory. But yeah, nice guy. So that was fun.
Fun.
Cool.
So all right. We got stuff. Okay, so last week, this is episode 151. So right now there is 150 hours of binge watching suggestions on our YouTube channel. You can get it on YouTube, exclusive on YouTube after the show. I guess you could dig it up on Facebook too. We did not talk about The Judge because Marcy was not feeling well and she's all better now, but she's not talking about it this week either. So go Google The Judge if you want to know about The Judge. We did talk about Bratz, the movie. We talked about, oh my God, I can't remember the name of that movie. What is that one?
Bratz.
No, Bratz.
No, the one next to it.
Was it Moving?
Moving, yeah. And then Unfrosted, the Jerry Seinfeld movie, Unfrosted. And then this week, we're going to talk about The Fall Guy, Sugar, Palm Royale, and X-Men 97, which just wrapped up. So excited to hear about that. Did you guys see Unfrosted? Did you see it, Sue?
I did not see it.
Okay.
I don't know. There's a part of me that's curious about it, and then there's a part of me that is not.
Was it good?
I have hey Jerry, what's up? There's been we'll have a whole Bratz thing. I wouldn't say Unfrosted was good. It could have been, it should have been. I said if you kind of half watch it while you're doing other stuff, it's great.
Yeah. Okay.
I like to do that. I think the worst part about it was Jerry Seinfeld. Amy Schumer wasn't great in it. And I'm not like an Amy Schumer hater or anything like that. I think the way she played the Post character was just, it was supposed to be funny that she wasn't being funny. It just wasn't funny. You know what I mean? But
yeah,
I do like Amy Schumer. But Jerry Seinfeld, I think if somebody else had been that character, it might have actually been a better movie. But
yeah, people were saying it just seemed like it was all over the place and it was like different like sketches, like it wasn't a cohesive film.
Yeah, so that's one of the things I said. It would have been amazing as a 10-part web series where like you just digested it in pieces. It was like, it was just like a series of Saturday Night Live sketches. Yeah. There was some funny things about it, but but overall, good try. So, okay. Well, so let's talk about what do we got? Let's talk about Palm Royale. Great poster. We'll give the poster a 10 out of 10.
That is a great poster.
It is a great poster. You know what? It goes in line with, it's shot beautifully. The costumes, the music, the time, it's 1969. And I know, Jeff, you stopped watching it. Did you go back?
I haven't gone back.
Okay. So, yeah. Okay. I stopped watching season 1 of White Lotus. And this is what Palm Royale reminds me of, because I know a lot of people I talk to say I stopped watching it. And I was going to stop watching it too, just like season 1 of White Lotus. And a girlfriend made me go back to White Lotus, and I ended up loving it. And I love season 2, and I can't wait to see season 3. So my mother watched Palm Royale. My brother watched Palm Royale. They're both on me. How have you not seen Kristen Wiig's show? So I started it, and it was one of those shows that I kind of enjoyed, but I couldn't binge watch it. I needed to take a break. I didn't want to see episode. But that was maybe the first 3. But now I am really into it. And I'm going to admit, I have 20 minutes left of the last episode. And a lot of that is because
Marcy always shows up with just this much to go.
Because I don't want to finish it.
You're very busy. You're very busy.
I'm busy, and I'm enjoying it's these 10 episodes, and I'm like not ready to say goodbye. I think I kind of need something to fill its spot. But let me just go into this cast. Kristen Wiig is our lead. We have Ricky Martin, Carol Burnett, Laura Dern, and Bruce Dern, who do play father and daughter. Leslie Bibb. And I see her and I'm like, why do I know you? What have I seen? I can't put it on I know she's been in 100,000 things, but I'm like, none of those mean anything to me. Allison Janney from West Wing. Oh my God, she's amazing in this. And then Mindy Cohn from Back to Life out of nowhere shows up in this, which is tons of fun. And I think that those are real, there's a lot of other great members of this cast, but those are some real big heavy names. I do suggest, Jeff, that you go back and finish watching it, even though I only have 20 minutes left. It's just fun. It's fresh. And it's funny. And I get it. It's like episode 1 through 5 is fair. They're not amazing. But, and you know me, I don't ever like to give anything away. But in any case, the Palm Royale is probably the most exclusive resort in the world. I mean, this is high society at its best. And Kristen Wiig wants to be a part of it. It's like Mean Girls. It's like Heathers. I mean, it's like there's so much bitching going on. And these housewives shows are doing very well because I have a lot of my girlfriends that watch these shows religiously. And so it's kind of like that, but fictional. In 1969, these women are rich. They're mean. They're bullies. They're funny. They will do anything just to make themselves better than the other. And watching Kristen Wiig's character, who was, she's from Chattanooga, and she's married herself a Delacourt, who is the nephew of Carol Burnett's character, Norma, who's been in a coma. She's super wealthy, and everyone wants their hands on everything that she's got, which is power and secrets. Lots of secrets. So anyway, I'm not going to go too much into it, but there's comedy, and there's, like I said, it's just, it's fresh, it's different. And I just beg you to go back and finish it. Did anyone else walk away from the White Lotus and go back? Or did you just love it from day one?
I watched the first season of White Lotus, and I wasn't crazy about it even through, and I didn't stop watching it.
Okay.
I stayed with it. Not that crazy about it, but the second season was phenomenal.
Correct, yeah. Well,
really different. It was for me, it was a 180.
Well,
it was a lot different.
The first season had Sydney Sweeney.
It did. I do love Sydney Sweeney. I'm a huge fan of hers.
So I think we watched season 1 when season 2 was hot. So I think that's, I mean, you got a different vibe when it's, when it's
Everyone was
already
already talking about
already
it.
the thing to watch.
Right.
It wasn't that Palm Royale. I didn't hate Palm Royale when I was watching it. It didn't pull me in enough to care that first
Okay.
episode. You know what I mean? I was it's, I love everyone in it. And I just actually, and speaking of Allison Janney,
Janny, yeah.
we just started rewatching The West Wing. She's
You
amazing. I mean,
kidding?
she's amazing no matter what she
She's
does.
amazing.
I will say I'll use this opportunity to plug her greatest role ever, which was in Drop Dead Gorgeous. One of the funniest movies ever, by the way. And so, but yeah, all right. If you think we'll rewatch it. There's no reason not to, but
And Ricky Martin gets you just saw the pilot, the first episode,
Mm-hmm.
which is I think called the pilot. Okay, so I get that. I get that. I took a huge break and went back. The first episode did not do very much for me. But yeah, I really think that these characters really get better and better, especially like Ricky Martin. How cool is that? Ricky Martin just pretending like he's not some really cool pop star. You know?
Yeah, yeah. I actually watched some of it, and I tend to because of my podcast, I watch a lot of things that I normally wouldn't watch, but I find out that people from the show are going to be guests, and then I have to watch it. So we had Julia Duffy on our show, and it was a treat having her on. Talking about Newhart and just her history with her career she was just so much fun, and she's great in the show. My favorite is Ricky Martin is amazing in the show.
Amazing in it. Mm-hmm.
I've never seen him act in anything, and I'm always so impressed when casting comes up with these ideas to have people that I would never ever imagine to, whether it's the part they're doing or just the fact that they're not actors, and they give them this role. He was great.
Perfect.
He's great.
Perfect for this role. Yeah,
Right.
I thought about that too when I was watching it. I'm like, good job on this casting.
But
Ricky Martin really needed to play that part.
Yeah, but I didn't finish it because then my attention went somewhere else because I had other things to watch. I wasn't like super crazy about it. But you know who was actually really good, and she looks exactly like her mother, Cindy Crawford's daughter, Kai Gerber.
Mm-hmm.
She plays the young.
Who that is?
That's Cindy and Randy Gerber's daughter. She looks exactly like her mother, and she's really, really good.
She does. Oh my gosh, she's gorgeous.
Yeah.
And tall. Oh my goodness. Now I know. It's really funny. She reminds me of the girl who was in the OC, and she was Rachel Bilson. She looks, but she's short. Is that her name? Rachel Bilson? Jeff, I'm phoning a friend.
Oh, you didn't
watch the
I don't
OC?
know.
I didn't watch the OC.
Anyway, they're both gorgeous girls, but I never put two and two together, so I'm so happy you told me that. She looks just like her.
All right. So so we're watching the Palm Royale then?
Everyone's watching Palm Royale.
Oh, yeah. Have you guys seen? I just discovered it, and there's apparently like 6 seasons. Girls 5 Eva.
No.
Yeah.
They're a band. I watched a little bit of one episode, and I didn't continue, but a lot of people told me it was real good. I just, what did you think?
I mean, I haven't even finished the first season, and we aren't like binge watching it. It's like interesting. It's like, it's interesting. I guess it's not the worst thing ever, but it's like, it was an interesting idea because they have like there's 5 of them, but for some reason they decided in present day. I mean, we won't get into it, but it's basically this group has a one-hit wonder, 30 years ago, or in their 20s. Now they're on their 40s, and a rapper samples their song so they become famous again. But for some reason, there was 5 of them, and they chose it in the present to only have 4, and one of them had died. I mean, it's not like she would, they just made that decision. She's in the flashback, so go do a flashback, and there's 5 of them. But it was just like I haven't figured out why they did that other than it being too many people, because they could have just called it Girls Forever instead of Forever. But I don't know. So anywho, okay, all right. Back to the show at hand. Let's keeping it with keeping it Apple TV centric. Let's talk about Sugar Sue.
So I have to be really careful what I say, because if you haven't seen it, there's a lot that I can't talk about. But it is a film noir, modern day, with a twist. And it kind of, to me, is like Chinatown with more twists than Chinatown had. They really do something very, very unique that you will find out midway through the season. And they use a lot of really cool clips from black and white detective noir movies that are just great. It's shot amazing. Colin Farrell is phenomenal. And it's a genre that I love. So if you're into detective shows, and especially noir type of content, I think you really like it. There's been a lot of controversy over what was revealed. Some people loved it. Some people hated it. I thought it was pretty bold what they did, because it was a departure from just making it a straight noir series. They ventured into some waters that were really, really provocative. And the cast is great. James Cromwell's in it, Dennis Boutsikaris, Nate Cordry, Amy Ryan is phenomenal. Anna Gunn from Breaking Bad is in it. It's crazy. I mean, it was a show that I wanted to talk about, but I don't want to give anything away. But it's very, very unique. And again, it is shot beautifully.
And this is Apple TV. Are all 8 episodes out right now?
All of them are out, and they didn't bill it as a limited series, so there's speculation that there'll be a second season. I hope there's a second season, because it's definitely right for a second season. But yeah, it's all out right now.
Do you think they'll call the second season More Sugar?
More Sugar. Well, it's great because they had sugar. Ba-da-da-da. Oh, honey, honey. Yeah. So anyway, it's very unique, and yeah. So I hope there's a second season.
Very cool.
Is Colin Farrell is he the detective guy?
He's the titular character. The thing is that what was I just going to say about his character? Yeah, I don't know. It escaped me, but I forgot what I was going to say about it. So
his name is John Sugar.
John Sugar. Yeah. So very
unique. Where is it set? Like, is it set like in like a New York thing, or?
It's set in LA.
Cool.
And yeah, I mean, this is what I was going to say. Because of the podcast, we got screeners before the episodes were out to the public. So I could have binged it, and I didn't want to binge it because we did a watch along each week. So I didn't want to know what was happening until it was time to talk about it. And the fact that I knew, and I had friends who were watching it as well, and I didn't want to have to like hide things from, like, I didn't want to be tempted to tell anybody anything about it. But yeah, it's set in LA, and like I said, it's got this really cool Chinatown kind of feel to it. Modern day. Great.
Awesome.
I'm checking that out.
All right. So there's 2 reasons for Zack to get Apple Plus
That's true.
TV. All right. Now we're going to talk about You know, I'm gonna go next. We'll finish with you, Zach. Let's talk
What?
about the Fall Guy. Okay, we'll let you be the big finale because I know you can just go on and on about the Fall
Just
Guy.
talk
X-Men.
forever. Yeah.
Yes. All right. So let's talk about the Fall Guy for a second. So I think either I don't know. I hear people saying how they thought this movie was fun and they enjoyed it. And I will say I will agree the last 15 minutes is that. But I don't know. For some reason, this movie just didn't do it for me. I felt like I was lost the whole time. I felt like they were, I mean,
What?
maybe I missed something up front or something, but like I didn't feel like Emily Blunt and let me say I love Emily Blunt. Ryan Gosling, I could watch just do anything. I mean, every Saturday Night Live, him singing "I'm Just Ken" at the Oscars was the greatest moment ever. So I'm totally into Ryan Gosling. I don't know. I never got any indication that Emily Blunt could care less about him in this movie in terms of like
Oh.
any sparks. I just
What?
did you? I mean, did you like really?
Yeah.
I
She wrote this movie about their relationship, like in the best way that she could do it. I was expecting you to complain about maybe like the CG like backgrounds or a lot of green screening, but them two as characters and their chemistry, I thought was I was entertained. I mean, it wasn't like high level anything. I thought the action was okay, but I liked them, and I thought that he was charming. Like I'll say, charming.
Well, I didn't mind his charmingness, his Ryan Gosling. I don't know. I just felt like there just seemed to be something missing for me for this movie. You know, I just
Is
like
this
I thought Hannah Waddingham was like, you know, who was I didn't even think she was that great.
Hmm.
It just seemed like it was overacting. It was like, there was nothing to indicate what was driving the plot until later they just say this was what was driving the plot. And it was like there was no indication unless I completely missed it,
It's
that which is possible.
the name of the movie is Fall Guy. What is a fall guy? Someone that takes the rap for crime. Like you should have seen that going into this.
Yes. And here I thought the Fall Guy was because he's a stuntman and he falls.
Well, it's a double entendre. It's actually
Yes, I
but
understand
it's
that, dude,
also
but
three ways because he's falling in love with her again. Like it is. No, this is a charming movie, Jeff. I think that you're incorrect.
I'm not saying I am. I clearly am not
Jeff,
in the.
you ignorant slut.
I'm glad
I,
someone said.
I mean, clearly, like I'm reading the thing, and they're like, someone was like, that Ryan and Emily's passion was insatiable, and I couldn't wait. I'm like, am I watching the same movie? Because nothing happened. And then at the end, it was fun, but it was like, everything just seemed forced. Everything was like, well, we need this to happen, so let's just make that happen.
Hmm.
And then, and then the big surprise twist at the end, which was really originally done with Austin Powers Gold Member. But like, I don't know. I guess it was fun. Everyone says they had a good time. Maybe I just was in the wrong mood or something. It just
All right, so
it just struck me as like,
yeah,
it struck me as like a movie that it was almost a great movie.
So
yeah.
how is their chemistry, the two of them? Because I would think they would have amazing chemistry.
Oh, they
I just
do.
felt like Emily Blunt to me is always very memorable. She wasn't memorable to me in this movie at all. It was like she's the director. I don't even. She just always felt like she was just standing on set. It was I don't know. It just to me like none of this. They were
Classic
trying to be
director.
clever with just being meta within the a thing within a thing. It was, but I don't know. To me, it just.
How many times does Ryan Gosling have his shirt off? A lot.
I mean, the answer is never enough. But like
Yeah,
but is it off a lot? I mean,
it's like two
legitimate question.
solid times.
Like if this movie really wanted to, what this movie should have focused on is how you can break your back and be fully mobile in 18 months.
Yeah.
That's a movie. That's a movie I would have wanted to see. How he came back from breaking his back to become a full as if it had never broken his back.
Burritos.
I gotta tell you, I strained my back 10 years ago and I still am careful when I pick up a pen. And this guy broke his back and it's like it's running. Now that's the movie. That would have been an inspirational movie, and they just kind of glossed right over it. It was just like 18 months later. It was like I'm like, no, that's the movie. That's the movie.
Now,
But
is this
no,
is this supposed to be from the series? Is that where this is taken from?
I think
Well,
it's his name is Cold Fever. It's another one of those.
Majors show.
It's another one of those. No one will watch the movie if we don't take an old IP and just
They
slap
No,
it
should
on.
but what I'm saying, I mean, did it have anything to do with the Lee Majors
No.
series?
I think other than his name being
his name.
Was
Yeah.
his name? Yeah, his name was the same. So it is. It is.
Well, it's not
based
because
off
like in the show, he was like a bounty hunter at nighttime, and like that was his job, and in daytime he was a stuntman. This is a stuntman who falls in love with somebody, gets thrown into a bit of a murder mystery. I thought the interesting thing was like so it's a husband and wife team that made this movie. The wife directed it. The husband is a stuntman. They actually met on a movie. So this is actually their love story, kind of, without like the drama of the murder mystery. So I thought I'm surprised you didn't like this movie, Jeff. This is like I thought that the action was B level action. I was upset that this movie being a stunt heavy movie, the stunts weren't that great. But I think what they're trying to do, they got a Guinness Book World Record for the amount of like car rolls ever done in a movie. So this is a stunt heavy movie, right? That's pretty cool. But also they're trying to shed light on a part of the industry that gets no attention whatsoever. So they're really trying to go for like an Oscar thing to make sure that stunt people can be, just seen as well. So I don't know. I thought it was charming. I just like Ryan Gosling so much that he could probably do nothing, and I would be just enthralled by him. So
Me too.
Yeah, no, I like him. I like Emily Blunt, and Waddingham's awesome. I mean, there's everything about the movie. I don't know. It just didn't.
Did you like Bullet Train?
I didn't lose. I did. I like Bullet Train a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like the same team worked on that, but maybe you like Brad Pitt a little more.
To me, I feel like I get you're saying. It's like, oh, it's the fall guy. I should have known he was taking a fall. But but it just, I think things need to kind of make sense. You know what I mean? It's like, it's just like, oh, by the way, this is all true now, so this all now makes sense. You know what I mean? But it's
who
like,
who else would you want to set up someone for a murder than a stunt double in a film? That's what they're designed for.
Now you're just gonna give everything away. I don't know. It just I don't know. I just maybe I was in the wrong mindset. I can admit that. I'm not just saying stay away from the fall guy. I'm just saying for some reason when I watched it, I didn't have the fun that everyone did. And then but the last 15, 20 minutes was fun. That was fun.
Yeah,
I never bought that Emily Blunt would have been into making that kind of alien movie. That didn't make sense to me. Like nothing just really clicked. My brain just didn't go with it. And so I don't know. So once you're like not in that mode, I think there's just nothing that can save me. So I mean, if I had been all in on it, maybe, but I don't know, just nothing seemed to really make sense. I'm in love with her, but then I didn't talk to her when I hurt myself, and now I'm back, but she didn't really know. Yeah, it's just I don't know. It's like I don't know.
How'd it do? How'd it do in the box office? What were the numbers?
Yeah, not good.
Huge flop. So numbers wise, you would think the world agrees with me, but with Zack, but most people maybe think what Zack did, but I don't know. Maybe it's one of those movies I'll watch again, like White Lotus, and I'll love it, and but I don't know. I'll take Emily Blunt in The Devil Wears Prada 50 times over watching this movie again.
So you say you may watch it again. Do you ever do shows where you do an episode where they were movies that you maybe didn't like, and then you rewatch them, and then you discuss and say, wow, I watched it again, and I really liked it the second time.
That's a good idea.
There's definitely movies that I've watched. Like I didn't love Pulp Fiction the first time I saw it. And now I love it. I was just talking about how the first time I watched Napoleon Dynamite, I did not get it at all. And then someone's like, no, that's what it is.
I think the theme here is that you need to be smacked.
There's plenty of
amazing movies that you didn't like.
No, I love. They're like those Napoleon
No, but
Dynamite and two of my
but
favorite
you said,
movies.
but you said you didn't like them at first, right?
Well, Napoleon Dynamite, I wouldn't argue. I would argue that I'm not the first person to ever not get Napoleon Dynamite the
Yeah,
first time you watched it.
that's fair.
Okay.
Once you realize that what is funny that makes that movie funny,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you watch it too literal, like, and don't get that piece, then but once you're in on it, now I've seen it multiple times, and
Yeah.
so, and for some reason, sometimes Quentin Tarantino movies don't hit me right the first time. You know what I mean? So it's like you have to watch them again. I have to watch them again and kind of digest it a second time.
That one.
Yeah. But yeah. So
I wasn't trying to bully your decision. Like you can like
no,
or not
it's okay to. I'm glad you had a different thing because it seemed like maybe I'm wrong, but my wife wasn't into it either. So, you know what I mean? I don't know. Again, it's like, sometimes I think if you're like, you either get on that, like, did you like Indiana Jones 5? Hated it. Couldn't even watch it. I tried to watch it again, even, and I couldn't do it. So like some movies you just can't get into them, so
that movie just made no sense though.
Yeah. But
also any movie with de-aging, I don't think I like it. Like I just don't like it.
I don't like
the whole time I'm just looking at the de-aging, either saying how good or how bad it is. Like I'm not into the movie anymore once a de-aging occurs. Just somebody else.
I'm okay if it's like a 2-minute thing, like if they just did a quick thing because they had to fill in some kind of memory or something.
Yeah.
But to me, it would have been cooler. That movie needed two things. One, and this is not because I just met Karen Allen, made her laugh, and she was the cutest thing I've ever seen in my life at the Comic-Con. But like Karen Allen, by the way, the Comic-Con was like, I think they under thought how she was going to perform at the, you go to a Comic-Con and like there's some people with huge lines, like Cliff and Norm from Cheers were there. Hardly ever a line, and they had double booths. And but Karen Allen, it was wall to wall. They had a smaller booth, but I mean, it was nonstop. Everyone was
cool.
So Indiana Jones 5 should have played more into him being old and not that he is old. That was to me the problem.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And like that, a cool old Han Solo, Indiana Jones, Harrison Ford in the beginning. That would have been cooler. It would have been much greater to see him and Karen Allen again, and not just be a whole, oh, our son died, I'm so sad. And then she comes at the end and goes, here, I'll make you feel better. Here's soup or whatever the hell she did at the end. It's like an event. They should have capped it with an adventure with the two of them. That was because she was awesome. But, well, okay. That's The Fall Guy. Feel free to go see it. I'm sure you'll love it. I'm sure you'll love it. I just, for some reason, I didn't. But here's one that everyone's talking about. X-Men 97. This is it was just made, even though it has 97 in the title.
I'm having some severe technical difficulties. Can you hear me?
Oh boy.
That's what happens when you
go. Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So X-Men 97. So mid 90s, right? I'm a huge fan of comic books. I'm a huge fan of everything that is X-Men. X-Men #1 just kind of came out, and it was the highest grossing comic of all time. And this cartoon was in like the middle of all those weird cartoons that comic books were really trying to get done. There was a great Spider-Man cartoon. There was a very weird Fantastic Four. But the thing about the X-Men in the 90s that I liked is that it was, and the thing about the X-Men earlier on was that it was always about something that I could not understand the concept of. It was either about being gay in a heteronormative society, which I obviously cannot understand, being a cisgendered white male. It was about being a multiracial in a community that doesn't really accept you. And these were stories that I could not fully understand because that wasn't the culture I was from. But for some reason, my brain could wrap around the idea of having superpowers for some reason. And it was like, God, that's got to be so ostracizing, being so different than anybody else. And that's when things started clicking in my very stupid, very smooth brain in the mid 90s. It was like, well, if it's different for superheroes, it's got to be bad for just normal humans that are different. So I think that something about that just had me latch onto it, and learning about these characters, having somebody like the character Morph. In episode 1 of the original series, you meet a character named Morph. morph. It has the ability of shape shifting into any character ever, and they were not of one sex, right? They kind of treated themselves like they were a poly person, which is totally fine. And that was the first time that, once again, my very stupid Neanderthal head had the ability to understand. So I really like this. I think that the show originally was a lot of, race conversation wrapped in, high action, a lot of emotional love stories, a lot of trying to understand who you are at the core of yourself, not who society just makes you out to be. Fast forward 30 some years. All of a sudden, somebody's talking about this new X-Men animated show that's coming out. And then all of a sudden, they decided to name it X-Men 97 because the last episode ended in 1996. And I'm like, oh, this is this cartoon. This is going to be cool. Then, you start watching Disney Plus shows and you see Echo and you see Hawkeye. And you're like, well, these really aren't great. They don't fully understand the character, but I'm going to consume it because it's content. Episode 1 of X-Men 97 drops, and it was a banger off the start. It was exactly the characters that I wanted to see. It was exactly the voices that I needed to hear. It was exactly the emotional decision-making and having to deal with the consequences of that. It was everything that I missed and everything that I think is lacking in a lot of television today. There's not a lot of emotion. There's not a lot of choices characters get to make. And there's not a lot of repercussions for those choices, which I think makes awesome character arcs. Now, when X-Men 96 ended, it ended in a weird way where Charles Xavier kind of quit the school and became this pet of a bird lady out in space. You have all these weird things. Apocalypse was taking over and his 4 horsemen were going on. So when it started, I'm like, well, are they just going to reboot this thing? Like, how are they going to handle this? And they picked it up exactly where it left off. A lot of it feels the same. The best part about it is it's the right kind of nostalgia. You remember how these characters handle certain situations, and they did so much care to make sure that these characters did the exact same thing. You have great storylines. So now you have these storylines that were crafted by these amazing artists from 1997 up till 2023, right? So now there's these great storylines that this cartoon gets to now retroactively put into an old setting. You have probably the best voice casting. The best thing about this is they got, I think it was like 10 of the original cast members from 1996 to play these same characters, the characters that created, like, the majority of people, when they think of Wolverine, it is from this cartoon. It is a Canadian who says bub and who, has that grizzly voice. And the only reason that's in our brain was because that's what the cartoon told us that Wolverine sounded like. So to get that character who created Wolverine and to have him back. The coolest part is that they've updated the animation so much so that it doesn't seem cheap. Like the person that was in charge of making the original X-Men show was on such a tight budget that they would send these out to different companies that would just kind of do poor shading. They would get the colors incorrect, but they wanted to tell these stories, so they did what they had to do. Now they have, Disney money and forever money, so they can take the time. And just the opening sequence alone, when you watch a cartoon, they do a thing called by the two. So every 2 frames, usually 1 second of animation. Well, to get this to look properly, they did 2s and 3s and 4s. So you get some things that change every 2 frames. You get some things that change every 3 frames. You get some things that change every 4 frames, so that you get like a depth and almost like a 3-dimensional scope to it. I thought that was pretty great. They've also expanded the universe a lot. So now, because of how bad Marvel's doing, that they need something to change it up a little bit. So why not introduce a new way? If you could get a whole audience to understand who the X-Men is now, you could easily just push them right into the MCU, which, is not what I think should happen, but it definitely could happen. And I think that the most dynamic thing about X-Men 97 is the emotions. You have this woman, Storm, who is this, she's an African queen, but she also has the power to, change all weather. So she technically can make it rain in Africa and, and have everyone drink water. So she's dealing with huge, but she also has to train these children who have powers and be part of a team that is changing how the world sees everything. But if someone like that loses their power, then that's going to sink in hard and they have to deal with that. And her sadness manifests her own nemesis. So this thing comes from just her crushing internal sadness of not being able to be as powerful as she's supposed to be. And that is like the mini boss of the series. You also have the overarching boss that you kind of see in episode 1, but unless you really know what you're looking for, it doesn't really present itself until about episode 5. The episodes themselves are roughly 30 to 40 minutes, so they're not too long, but they're also not too short where you feel you're not really getting something. And I think one of the best decisions they made is it's not Wolverine centric. He's not the star of this. And I think that something happened with the Fox movies that made just Wolverine some mega star, and everyone just associated X-Men with Wolverine. And honestly, he's one of the most boring characters that are in here. You have, power people like Rogue who can't touch anyone, or else she has the opportunity of killing them. So she doesn't know what it's like to kiss someone unless they have a power that allows that, which really changes her emotional status. Like knowing that you can touch certain people will change your decision making on who you want to be in a relationship with. And you have someone like Magneto who can change how the world works. He can alter the magnetic sphere of the earth if he wants to. But whatever his current path is kind of how the world should look at things, because he can change everything. I was blown away episode by episode. It was the first show in a very long time that I'd not skipped the intros, because the intros are actually informative. For the first time in a long time, when you watch the intro, it actually tells you who's in charge of the X-Men and where their status is. So episode 1, Xavier's not there. He's with these bird people. It's a weird pet husband thing. And the first person is Cyclops. So you're like, oh, I guess Cyclops is in charge. Then you start seeing that some people have ponytails and some people don't. And you're like, oh, wow, what's going on with this? And, for super nerds that know what they're looking for, it's just sprinkled throughout all the cool nerd stuff. For people that like overarching conversations, storylines, this is that. I have literally nothing bad to say about the show, and I have not come across something this special in a long time. So please, if you like animated things, if you like deep character arcs, if you like X-Men, if you like, I don't know, anything kind of fun but also serious, this thing will get you. Like, major characters die because of the decisions they make, and they're not resurrected at the end of the episode, so real stakes happen for these animated people. So yeah.
Can I ask you, do you have to be well versed in this world to jump onto this show and enjoy it? Will I be missing so much backstory because I am not an X-Men person? In the beginning, you lost me after you said it ended in 96. You know what I mean? Just because I've never ever been a fan of these types of shows, and I've never really been a fan of like Marvel superhero kind of shows. But when you really got me when you were talking about the woman who can't touch people or she'll kill them or hurt them or something. That to me is so fascinating to have that be the dilemma.
Yeah.
So a long-winded way of asking you, can I just jump on and watch this and not feel like, oh my God, I'm like so lost?
Yeah, I think that the design of the characters themselves give you enough information quickly to get what their power sets are, right? So you kind of get past that. The fact that the show ended in 1996 means that whatever the MCU or whatever Fox was doing with the X-Men stuff doesn't matter. They don't, because it technically never happened. This show takes place back then in 97. So you don't need anything current, any MCU stuff. None of that stuff is important whatsoever. I think that the show does a very good job of catching up people that did not see the original show, but need just a quick little push of what these people are. Like, their power sets pretty quickly. Then you got to hop into what's their emotional status? What's going on? Oh, these people are in love, but they can't be together. Oh, these people are in love, but maybe one's a clone. The clone might have just had a baby. That's crazy. So, I think that for new people, it might be a bit jarring at first just to jump into a superhero series, but I don't think there's a whole lot of information that you need that they don't give you pretty quickly.
I'm sure it can't be weirder than hanging with the Osbournes. So,
You know what? The Osbournes were so normal. Really.
That's
They
true.
really were. They were,
These
and that's
people.
why the show really worked, because they really were pretty normal family that they really loved one another.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it just appeared that they were, out of their minds, but they really weren't. Except for the fact that he tried to kill her years ago and ate a bat. But besides that, pretty normal.
Besides those things. Besides those
Yeah.
things. So all good. So all right. Well, would you believe we're at the end of yet another episode? Yay.
Oh, you did it. You did it, Jeff.
Great job, Zach. All the effort you put in, your mic is a little jumpy, just so you know.
Yeah, right
I'm
before
I'm just letting you know because you said earlier no one let you know. So now I'm letting you know.
on air. Cool.
I know. Hey, well, everyone. Sue, thank you very much for joining us again. Remind everyone where they can find you and keep up with you.
Culture Pop Podcast, wherever you get your podcasts. And I actually been having major issues. I got hacked on Instagram. I was able to get back in, but I think I may have to change everything because I'm completely paranoid that people are still going to be able to get, even though I changed everything. I cleaned my phone, I cleaned my computer, and I got a message the other day. There were two people that Instagram showed me pictures of these two people that have cloned my account. So I haven't heard anything of late. Apparently, I was selling Bitcoin and I was in a food contest trying to get people to vote for me.
So I get a DM from Sue. Will you vote for me? And then I just blindly go, yeah, of course I'll vote for you, of course. And then sends the URL. And then I didn't respond because I was in the car. And then all of a sudden I get another DM and said, done yet? And then I'm like, then the red flag went off.
Yeah.
So then I text Sue. I'm like, did you just text me from Instagram? And she's like, no.
Yeah, like, are you, or like, what's real? But the funny part of all of this is that my husband is a chef, okay? Well, he used to be a chef, but he's an amazing cook. I really do not cook at all. And when we first started living together, the big joke in the house was we were talking about going on vacation. And I said, I want to go someplace I've never been. And he said, why don't you try the kitchen? Right? So anybody who knows me knows that I never would be entering a food contest.
Oh my God.
So, all right. So what you need, if you don't already, you download the Google Authenticator app. And do you have, no, I'm telling you.
It didn't work. That was the problem. Every time I try to do the code that they gave me, because it circles and then a new one comes up and a new one comes up, it never took. I wrote the most scathing reply to Instagram because they kept on emailing me and saying, oh, someone from Nigeria just tried to get into your account. Oh, someone from Panama just tried to get into your account. I said, you keep on telling me all the things that are wrong, but you're not telling me how to fix it. And I went on this diatribe, not even thinking they were going to reply. They didn't reply. Some robot replied, but they told me how I can change my password, which I did. But I think that I just don't trust it, and I don't want people to like get hacked because I got hacked. So I'm going to wait because nothing has come up of the last day or two to vote for me for any contest, and there's no like crypto posts that are going out there in my name. So we'll see. But I have a feeling that
Jerry had the same problem. He had a huge account that got hacked, and he never got it back.
But the thing is if I delete my account, and I don't even know how to delete it. Because I
wouldn't delete it. So you say you have third-party authentication on all your accounts, and they still hacked it?
I don't have it on on my accounts. It's such a long story, but I got hacked, and then I got scammed, and it was a whole long thing. They got into my accounts. They tried to take money from me. Thank God, I'm getting everything that they tried to take from me back. They got into my my retirement. So I did a specific code with my retirement account. I did that today, but I just don't know if what's gonna work. And
Ooh.
and unfortunately, with Instagram, there's no phone support.
Right.
This is how The Beekeeper starts, and that movie was badass.
Oh wow, I didn't see it.
Oh,
Yeah, it was a nightmare, a total
horrible.
nightmare.
Well, I'm
so you-
glad at least you're on the right path right now. So
Yeah. So we'll see. But I'm going to lose everything if I change my account. Then I have
Yeah.
to like invite everybody who's been
yeah,
following me back.
I'd wait it out. Make sure it's secure again, and then just wait it out for sure.
Tough
So-
one.
Cool.
It's horrible.
All right.
Anyway.
So what are you up
Horrible.
to, Zach?
Me? Not much. I'm not cool enough to have my stuff hacked, so I'm still that doesn't happen to us. But no, just making up stuff and honestly, check out Classic Conversations. My really good friend Jeff Dwoskin does such a good job interviewing these people, and I cannot say that enough. And if you watch my show on Monday, I had a big old segment about how proud I am of my friend Jeff Dwoskin. His show, Classic Conversations.
Did you? Of course I saw it.
Yeah, I know.
I meant to thank you, because I saw it.
That's not why I brought it up here. I know you were there.
I second that. It's a great show.
It is a great show.
It is.
I always vote for it.
Yeah, you do great. You do really great interviews, Jeff. Really do.
True. Yeah. Marcy likes all of them except the last 20 minutes. She just fades out.
Yeah, you should never.
Her neighbor's internet cuts her off at the end of every show.
I'm saving all of the ends of all the shows.
All the crust of the pizza.
All of the ends.
All right. Marcy, say good night to everyone.
Good night, everyone.
All right. Well, thank you, Zach. Thank you, Sue, for the kind words and for joining me tonight, and Marcy. And cool. Yep. Check out my podcast. Check out Sue's podcast. All of Zach's. If you need mortgages, contact Marcy. All right. Well, thank you guys. And we'll see y'all next time. I'm going to say goodnight. Here we go. Nope. That one. Boom, 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 boom.